how Kenyan companies use artificial intelligence to cut high costs of production and advertising, and why artists and ad agencies voice their concerns.
ECOWAS empowers 150 youths in fish farming in Anambra State for regional empowerment.
AI-assisted tech helps people with voice disorders to speak in their natural voice, giving millions of people a chance to have clearer conversation.
Hello, and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent McCory from the Voice of America in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, I'm Vincent McCory at the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Joke Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
150 youths in Anambra State in southeast Nigeria have been trained by the ECOWAS Commission in table fish production as part of efforts to expand regional development. The state government is excited that the training will also help reduce youth unemployment, which is in line with its commitment to shared prosperity, inclusive and sustainable development.
Then this is in the second week. This is in the third week.
A team from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, representatives of the Anambra State government, trainers and trainees are inspecting fish ponds on the grounds of the Anambra State Polytechnic used to train youths in fisheries and aquaculture. The training is part of the Commission's strategy to empower youths in aquaculture for a shared prosperity as well as inclusive and sustainable development.
So as you can see, this was stocked in the first month, in the first week of the training. Then this is in the second week. This is in the third week.
Explanations are given on the processes involved and the training outcomes.
This table fish production, we applied or employed a systematic approach. It's not like the normal fish farmers we do have outside. This system, we call it temporary system, where we adopt different standard operating procedures in everything we do.
The ECOWAS Commission team is led by the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, who appears to be satisfied with the practical training in table fish production.
We had a strategy. It's good to have strategy. It's good to have policy. But at the point of time, you need to implement. You need to empower youth and women.
Some of the trainees share their experiences and dreams.
It was a very wonderful training to me. I learned so many things.
Our target on this mission is that we need to produce 51 million tons annually in table fish.
After the tour is the formal graduation ceremony. The 150 trained table fish producers and the Deputy Governor, Dr. Onyeka Ibezim, representing the Governor, Professor Chukuma Soludo, join in the celebration. There are other privileges that come with their successful training, as the ECOWAS Commissioner announces them as ambassadors of the Aquaculture project.
By receiving your certificates today, you become ambassador of change in your community.
Agro and fishery production is part of key components of the 4 strategic objectives of ECOWAS Commission for the period of 2022 to 2026. It's a comprehensive strategic framework for sustainable fisheries and aquaculture development that will enable member states contribute to the achievement of the overall goal of ECOWAS for the satisfaction of food needs of the people.
Joining us now on the program is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Fisheries Aquaculture Business Development Agency in Anambra State, Emeka Ilogalu. Pleasure having you on the program today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure as well.
So what are this initiative by ECOWAS portend for the fish industry in Anambra State and in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. This initiative is very important to the development of the fisheries and aquaculture sector in the country, and especially in Anambra State. So it has added strength to what the Anambra State government is already doing. The government of Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, CFR, came with a promise and a manifesto to strengthen the youth in terms of human capital development and focus it on the youth. And then there is also the economic development and infrastructure aspect. So the vision of the government is to have a prosperous and livable society in the state. Now, in that order, and in that sense, this partnership, this initiative of the ECOWAS has actually added strength to that, because these youth that have been trained are ready for business. They are not just they were not just trained to take a certificate and go home. So they've been trained on a specific improved production system called Temprowis, and it's also an indigenous invention for Anambra State. And the governor has, as he came in, said he will be the first person to patronize every indigenous business from the state. So this actually portends a great thing. It portends the advancement and successful progress in extending the improved production system. It means also that it's adding already the strength to our target as a state. We plan to do 51 million kg per annum of table fish. And this has actually added strength to it, because this direction means that we will only get better. And then these ones will have the other ones that they are going to mentor, and then we'll continue to increase and get to our target, and then we'll continue to grow. So it's all good for Anambra State and good for Nigeria, good for ECOWAS, and also beyond.
And what was the yardstick, in choosing Anambra State for this project?
It's obvious Anambra State fisheries and aquaculture sector, coming from the agri, is the, arguably the most business developed in the country. And the structure we have is that we have a dedicated agency, Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency, focused on institutionalizing the development of the economy of fisheries and aquaculture. And in that line, we have a vision and a mission. And, it's the first place you have this kind of setting. And it means that whatever you add to that, whatever you invest in it, it continues to grow, because there is a direction and there is a destination.
Finally, do you see any dangers ahead with the latest prediction by NIMET of rainfall? Of course, Anambra State is on that list, and we do know the devastation that the state suffered before from flooding. Is this a danger to the fish production after all the training that the youths received?
Well, you see, again, I go back to structure and, operating in a systematic and orderly manner. Now, these are privileged information and, information that comes ahead and in terms of intelligence. So now we have all these predictions, we have all these forecasts. And for us in the fisheries and aquaculture sector in Anambra State, because of the structure, we are producing fish all the way, whether in the riverine areas or in the land areas and all that. Our policy framework covers everything. If you're living on land, there are kinds of fish production systems you will use, but the bottom line is that you're producing fish. If you're living in the riverine areas which are prone to flooding and some other environmental or climatic dynamics, there is also the system to produce. And we work proactively, and it's obvious if you have a plan, you will be able to look ahead and see challenges ahead and then be able to prepare ahead of time to mitigate them. So that is the position we have in Anambra State.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. We have been speaking to the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Fisheries Aquaculture Business Development Agency in Anambra State, Emeka Ilogalu. A pleasure having you again today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure as well. Thank you for having me.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, aiming to boost food security, Malawi begins controversial trials of genetically modified maize. Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent Makori in Washington. Malawi has embarked on trials of genetically modified maize aimed to curb recurrent hunger and such pests as fall armyworms and caterpillars. The trials come amid concerns about the possible effects genetically modified organisms have on health and the environment. Lamik Messina reports from Lilongwe.
The fall armyworm has caused devastating crop losses across Africa since it arrived in 2016 in Malawi at Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Biotechnology research scientist Kingdom Kwapata is leading studies in 2 varieties of maize whose genes have been modified to resist the pest. Such engineered crops are considered genetically modified organisms or GMOs.
We needed a solution because our farmers are suffering. Our main purpose and aim for the research is to establish whether the gene that confers resistance against fall armyworms and other lepidopteran insects is effective.
The trials are expected to take about 5 years. They are conducted in a fenced and confined maize field 500 meters away from any traditional crop to avoid possible contamination with the traditional varieties. In the meantime, lawmakers, traditional leaders, and farmers have visited the trial site to observe its progress. Some farmers are excited about the trial, which is in its first year.
This will solve the problems of lack of money to buy pesticides to kill fall armyworms, which have affected my maize harvest for many years. And I am now a happy farmer because these trials are providing solutions to the problem.
Another subsistence farmer, Esther Ganjawala, is skeptical about the technology. She notes that replacing local maize varieties with high-yielding hybrids has created new troubles.
These new varieties are not good at all. You can't harvest anything without applying fertilizers, and they are easily attacked by pests. That's why there is growing poverty. But with our local varieties, we can harvest even without applying fertilizers.
Researcher Kwapata says genetically modified crops have been introduced safely elsewhere, including the United States, Brazil, and Argentina. But many in Malawi are concerned about possible health and environmental impacts.
So even though the target is to make sure the stalk borer doesn't attack the maize or the armyworms, but actually the introduction of this GMO will affect other beneficial insects such as bees and other birds. So that is something that we don't want. We don't want to disturb that cycle.
Kanye also fears that once introduced to farmers, the GMO maize would keep other local crops from growing. Kwapata says there is no evidence that would happen, but he acknowledges that people are concerned.
There's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of political anxiety, but in the final analysis as researchers, we are saying that the nation needs to give us a chance to do the research diligently, independently, without due influence.
Kwapata says the researchers will present results of the trials only to government authorities so they can decide whether the GMO maize should be introduced in Malawi. Lamik Messina, VOA News, Lilongwe, Malawi.
14-year-old Nigerian artist Kanye Tagbo KK showcases 20 captivating artworks as part of his solo exhibition in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, hosted by Dubai's first autism-friendly certified hotel and supported by government agencies. The exhibition celebrates Kanye's talent Our correspondent, Maya Wadegoke, brings us more.
20 paintings by 14-year-old Nigerian artist Kanye Tagbo Keke on display at a solo exhibition in Dubai.
We do this for two reasons. Yes, we want to showcase Kanye's art, but then more than that, we have this passion for letting the world know that children living with autism need to be cared for as well, and need to be taken really, really very seriously because of the gift which they carry, which we do believe is a really huge gift. Every child living with special needs. And so every time at the end of one exhibition, my wife starts to look for the next place where we can go. The passion is such that we want to go all around the world.
Kanye's paintings are created to raise awareness that no autistic child should be left behind.
All the artworks, they are not, you can't say they follow the same idea, but you know they are Kanye's works because of the way it's structured. Because Kanye doesn't paint, it's not like an artist, okay, I'm going to plan this, this is the series I'm going to do, I'm going to investigate. Kanye paints from his heart. Whatever he's feeling, however he's feeling it, he paints it. He doesn't care if somebody likes it or not. His own is, I feel this and I just want to put it on canvas. So what you see, it has his DNA, but they are all different, with different expressions of Kanye.
Kanye, who started creating at age 2 and made his first painting at age 5, now has his artworks as merchandise, including t-shirts and mugs. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Maya Wadegoke for Channels Television News.
It's time now for a short break. As we do, we remind you to visit our website, channelstv.com, for news and programming around the clock. You can also find us at youtube.com/channelsweb. And still to come, artisans and craftsmen in Edo State in South Nigeria seek loan facilities to expand their businesses. Details soon.
Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent Makori in Washington. Kenyan companies facing economic challenges are turning to artificial intelligence to reduce production and advertising expenses. That's causing anxiety among artists and ad agencies who fear reduced income and job losses if AI can replace the work they've always done. Mohammed Yusuf reports from Nairobi.
With the coming of artificial intelligence, Kenyan companies and businesses have been quick to incorporate computer-controlled robots for various tasks to save time and cost. Kartasi Products, one of the biggest publishing companies based in Nairobi, is among those embracing AI technology. Instead of relying on outside artists, the company now uses AI to handle book covers, texting and layout, and has cut product design time by 2/3 from approximately 3 months to 1.
Because everything is within your fingertips. So you find that you don't only save on time, but also you save on cost because you don't have to hire out any services. So at the moment we are saving the cost savings that we are getting from AI, it is translated into the final product.
David Karega, the head of East and Southern Africa at Woodrow, a communications firm, says AI helps companies reach out to their customers.
With AI where organizations, institutions and companies are starting to look at AI in the sense of, how can it help me in this moment where my budgets are cut to still continue doing, effective communications. And what I've observed is AI becoming a kind of a value creator, and you can look at it being a value creator both from an agency perspective and from a client perspective, or the company.
The adoption of AI is creating fear among artists and advertising agencies that revenue and jobs will continue to shrink. Simon Mwanzia, creative chief for one such agency, the Arts Group, acknowledges the trend and the cost benefits, though he thinks companies will be better off relying on professionals to handle their advertising.
all the design work is done in-house, so that means that's less revenue for the agency. So we'll definitely take a hit. But we do not foresee a situation where companies do that, because we always emphasize and also try to advocate for that people need to focus on their key strengths.
Currently, AI programs used in advertising often create deformed creatures and worldly scenes that require many hours to edit. However, the World Advertising Research Center says spending by Africa's advertising sector fell by 11.6% last year, an indication of the likely increased use of AI. Mohammed Yusuf, VOA News, Nairobi.
Some artisans in Edo State who specialize in converting waste tires to friction prevention items for vehicles, mills, generators, and other machines are seeking access to loan facilities to expand their businesses. The craftsmen are also concerned about the difficulty in sourcing materials for their business.
In the Edo State capital, Benin City, time was when waste tires considered useless littered the roads. It's a story that is changing as this vulcanizer shares.
The thing they very okay, not be like before. You say they use our money, find all those environmental people. They call they park the tire. But now they call they find how the tire be. So they book money.
Among those who have found waste tires useful are the men in this center, also in the state capital, who with patience dig into and strip the tires in search of valuable parts.
Tools or equipment
Strength and dexterity are deployed for many of the tasks required to create the different items here.
The vehicle, for example, any parts that has to do with bushing or tire, we can do anything that has to do with friction, because the purpose of the tire that they put in any part of a vehicle is to avoid friction.
It takes only a few tools, resourcefulness and creativity to birth the products. Still, customer satisfaction is maintained.
I use it in my car, in my Primera car. The last 2 years, I have not changed it.
It's believed machines would give them speed and increase production.
First part that we need your help is that the material is becoming too difficult to get, and also the support, especially manual, so that we can have a machine to support the work.
Another desire is access to loans.
If we have a good loan, I believe that when those commercial banks, if the government is not forthcoming, when the commercial banks come and they see that this place is well organized, they will still maybe see reasons to want to help us.
Confidence their skills and commitment could contribute to an improved economy. The quest now for these artisans is to get relevant bodies to look their way and consider investing in their businesses. Jessica Lugose, Channels Television News.
Groundbreaking AI-assisted technology can help people with voice disorders to speak in their natural voice, giving millions of people a chance to have a clearer conversation. VOA's Julie Tabo has more in this week's episode of Log On.
And I'm whispering.
Joris Kastemans has a slight stutter.
I'm a light stutterer.
But like many people who stutter, when he whispers,
and you hear my whisper,
his speech is fluent and flawless.
Because when you are whispering, you don't use your vocal cords.
This explains why people with severe stutters can reduce their stuttering frequency by as much as 85% while whispering. That amazing fact inspired Kastemans to develop Wisp, an AI-assisted voice technology and calling app that can empower people with severe stutters and voice disorders to speak more clearly. One of those people is George Coster, who has vocal cord paralysis.
Since then, I speak like this.
But thanks to Wisp technology, Coster was able to hear his old, healthy voice again.
Hello, my name is George Coster.
I never had heard my own voice.
Users can choose to personalize their Wisp voice with in-app recordings or use recordings from their past healthy voice. Ruud van Noorden has undergone a total laryngectomy, which is a surgery to remove his voice box. But Wisp's advanced AI technology breathes life into his voice, allowing him to speak in his old natural voice in real time. Users like Van Noorden can also make in-app phone and video calls.
The ideal situation is to have a seamless a conversation with a flow, right? So without a delay. Our big, bold dream would be to have Wisp in each smartphone and laptop worldwide.
Kasterman says the technology is designed to transform not just speech, but people's quality of life.
It's remarkable.
Julie Tabo, VOA News.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. To remember that channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joka Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.